Welcome to Interior Design Diaries, where today I have the pleasure of speaking with Kevin and Lisa Brennan, who went through an extensive remodel of their house. It's what I like to call a concept to completion, where we go all the way through architectural plans to the completion, where they get to see the candle lit and have that moment. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
How are
Hey,
you?
Lindsay. Great.
Thanks for
Good.
coming. So we did a concept to what I call a concept to completion, where it's a huge ordeal and undertaking, and it is basically down to the studs everywhere. We pushed out walls, we got rid of walls, we did architectural plans all the way through furniture. I mean, it's concept to completion, candle lit.
Yes.
Yes, and
Did
we
it
did
all.
it.
Yes.
And you're on the other side now,
Mm-hmm.
2 years later, right?
Yeah. We moved in March 2 years ago.
It is two
Yeah,
years
Yeah,
later.
it's been 2 years.
Anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so explain to me your process. How did you hear? I mean, I know how we met, but how did you come to need a designer?
Oh gosh. We're busy.
Yeah.
We've both have careers. We had at the time little children. They're older now. We didn't have time or the knowledge to design. We needed help, right?
That's the perfect client, to be honest.
We needed help. We knew.
Yeah, you
we
knew
know
it.
what
You
we don't
know
know, and we knew
We knew
nothing.
our weaknesses.
Totally.
And we knew that we knew nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we needed a lot of hand holding.
Yeah.
We had dabbled, a couple of years prior, we were kind of like, curious about redesigning our house. And so, we had fluffed up our daughter's rooms a little bit. We had some designers come by the house
Correct.
once to kind of, give us some thoughts, but we weren't serious at the time. And we didn't really connect with anyone that we thought like, oh, let's interview them again.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and these are bigger name designers in our community.
Yeah.
That we had relationships with, that we kind of had them kind of walk through. To your point, I also think it was, we weren't ready at that point,
mhm.
but by the time, we really engaged with you, Lindsay,
Mhm.
the house wasn't speaking to us. It was yelling at us. And what I mean by that is like cabinets were starting to fall off the walls and
It was screaming,
things.
it's time.
It was time.
Yeah.
And the house needed to be redone.
Yeah.
And we were fortunately in a position to be able to accomplish that. But
And your street was so great.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we didn't want to, we could have, remodeled a bathroom or, remodeled a kitchen. But
Onesie, twosie, phase it
oh,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And before you know it, it's all, looking like a hodgepodge of different styles. And we just wanted to rip the Band-Aid off and do it all at once instead of doing small projects at different points. Right.
You knew what you're getting into, and you knew
Mhm.
that you didn't want to live through stuff, or you probably
Right.
wouldn't keep going in the phases. Right. So just do it all.
Right.
At once. And you knew you needed someone.
Mm-hmm.
1,000%.
Yeah.
There's no way. And we were in a unique situation, right? With my brother being the general contractor, which he traditionally is. He started his career in home building, but has matriculated to commercial, and predominantly is a pretty large commercial builder.
Yeah.
But we needed the quality control, and the design concept, which actually you did a fantastic thing initially with us, which was designing the concept of the house and how it would be built from a planning standpoint. And then we took it to his architect, who
Yep.
then built the plans and then submitted to the city,
Right.
which expedited that process.
Yes.
And that was a huge win because that allowed us not to get into the weeds
Yeah.
with 4 different parties. It was the 3 of us
Mhm.
defining what our vision was for our home and you solidifying that, and then it was done.
Right. It was like the needs, the wants. It was the list, right? It was
Correct.
like, we need this 4-bedroom house,
Mhm.
Correct.
bathrooms, flex room. Like we
Right.
had all that dialed before, so you wouldn't have to have all those choices.
Right. And you gave us a few different choices for the layout of the downstairs.
Mhm.
And I'm really glad we chose the layout that we did. It was the right choice. But I did like that we had a few different options.
Yes.
So that was good.
It's hard to see things too, because
Mhm.
you've been living in this house, right? It's fresh to me because I'm just walking in. And I think the
Right.
first thing I said to you was, why is the front door over here? Like,
Right.
we really need to put it over here.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where that your chosen or approved plan came from.
Mhm.
And the flow.
yes, the flow is huge,
Mhm.
isn't it? It feels like you moved to a different house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
completely different. And
Mhm.
all the rooms were separated, segmented.
Mhm.
You had a small kitchen. And now it's just like this huge, big
And it was dark.
space.
You know, with all the walls, the
Yes.
house was so dark. I couldn't imagine the amount of sunlight that we have in the house today. I mean, the house is so bright and sunny and cheery, and
And
I
that's a big.
I just didn't think that there was any sunlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that our house
And
was
you
like
love the
surrounded
sun.
by darkness, and
Yeah.
we get so much light now, natural light. It's great.
Yeah, that was one of your things. You're like, it's dark. I remember you asking, we're going to do all this. Like, am I going to get more light? Like you said, I know I can't get the tall ceilings. That was one of your
Right.
things.
Just
but
on
is
the
this going to
downstairs
feel,
floor.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. But is this going to, like, we're going to do all this. Is it going to be that different? And I remember saying, like, yeah, I mean, you're
Yeah.
going to have light flooding in that you didn't even realize before.
I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah.
And in my office now, which used to be the sunniest room in the house, is now the darkest
It
room
is
in the
the
house.
darkest
It's the darkest room in the house.
But it has the best view.
Yeah, it does.
It
has a
does.
pretty view.
Perks, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, yeah.
trade-offs.
Yeah,
in each
exactly.
space. Okay, so you interviewed other designers.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And then you just kind of went with your gut. How'd you decide?
It was your energy, how you approach the situation. Like I've said to some of the other individuals who we referred you to,
Thank you
is
for that.
that you come with your listening and learning about the customer versus applying the same cookie cutter approach to every project. And that was definitely not, and we had, obviously we have a child with special needs that needed to have considerations throughout this design process. So you were very intent on listening through that. And then secondly, I'd also say that, your design concepts helped expedite our architectural plans, because we didn't engage much with the architect per se. It was more just to check the box with the city, which
Right.
helped reduce cost in this project
Mhm.
tremendously, versus having that whole engagement where we kind of knew what we wanted to do with you
Mhm.
in designing that,
Yep.
and then come in with a prescriptive statement to the architect. And then it became more of a fixed fee
Yeah.
cost, which
Way more sense.
Way more sense, and way more, because fundamentally we didn't change the structure of the home. We gutted the home.
Mhm.
We took it down to the studs, and we added square footage. We added over 600 square feet, but
Right.
we didn't change that square footage. So we didn't tear the house down.
Right.
And that was a unique perspective that you brought to the project early on from a cost savings perspective.
Yeah.
Which was really helpful.
And I don't think many people know that designers, if you pick the right person, should be able to affect the entire house in terms of the plans. And that's really where it should start.
Well, and the fact that you did it all.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
It's like, oh, you're going to help us with the furniture. Oh,
Yeah.
And you're going to, design the look and feel. Oh, and
Yeah.
you're going to be able to do the outside too.
Right.
Because I felt there were a lot of different people we met with that was like, oh, we're only going to do the furnishings, or
That's a
we
great
only
point.
do outdoors, or we only do this. And I thought, well, how are they all going to be cohesive
Mm.
when you have multiple different people who have different visions?
Right.
It's not going to go together. I don't know. So I appreciated the one-stop shop.
Yeah.
But also there was
responsiveness.
in choosing you over others, there was a software company up in Northern California that was famous for their hiring philosophy is you only want to hire somebody that you would want to hang out with after work and have a beer with. Right.
Right.
And so you were someone that felt like you'd naturally be a friend of mine,
Yeah.
outside of, doing this work together. So you were just very comfortable to work with, whereas some other people that we had met with just didn't seem like,
Chemistry.
yeah, the chemistry just wasn't there, or we were just different types of people or
Yeah.
something. So
I remember when we came to the end, I was like, what am I going to do at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I miss you guys. Because
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
like, I dropped the kids off and I'd cruise by and we'd do our
Right.
thing. And it
Yeah.
was just, I do become part of your,
Your family.
Yeah.
yeah. And I know things about your house and how you live to perfect it that a lot of your friends that you've had for years might not necessarily know, because I do want it to function better than when I got there, leave it better than I found it kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's a critical differentiation for you, Lindsay, is that the fact that you do personally care.
Oh,
And
yeah.
my father always said, if you personally care, then you're going to give 110%. And I truly felt that throughout this entire process. And it still continues to this day.
Yeah.
Right? Hopefully you'll stop by tomorrow as we're finishing our
Punch list.
punch list.
Yes.
And
Yes.
because we wanted some time,
Yeah.
just to be,
Yeah.
no.
And the
workers
house
in
will settle. You'll get the cracks. You'll get the
Cracks.
things.
Yes.
And you need to be able to live there and
Totally.
perfect over time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think is a difference with Lulu Designs, is that you guys take that personal touch and get to know the family and really understand how they want to live versus just, oh, it's coastal living. Let's just do this type of furniture. Let's do,
Yeah.
rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
If I'm getting at that correctly.
Yeah. No, that's what I
And
call it.
which was more, I want to understand how you live as a family
Mm-hmm.
and what your needs are, and then do it.
Yeah.
And design that way. And that was huge.
And you're happy. You get exactly what you want. And I think I pushed you a couple of times.
Yeah.
I remember you saying, huh? Okay, well, what? You'd
Yeah.
be like, wait, I need to hear this again. We had those conversations where I was like, okay, let's, push you out of your safety. But there was also times where you're like, nope, we're doing this. And it's like, okay, it's that two-way street where you get what you want, but I'm having it look like yours
Mm-hmm.
rather than something you can see anywhere else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk through the building process for you. As we went through each of the stages, we had our meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I may take a first pass at this.
Go for it.
It was a unique situation in the fact that my brother was our contractor.
Right.
And so you were a fantastic broker between that. And I'm from a large Irish Catholic family. So,
Yeah.
and it's two of my brothers.
Well, I remember the meetings with the three of you was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to the Brennans. This is going to be good.
Yeah. There's some contention there.
No, it was
but
great.
It was great.
Yeah.
And they had our best interest. And
Of
my
course.
brother's, as I alluded to earlier, is a bigger commercial builder. He started his career doing residential, but that's not kind of his foray today.
Yeah.
Right. But we needed that coordination piece. And your understanding of the construction process really helped facilitate that and take that off of our plate.
Mm.
From Lisa and I's perspective, both being working professionals with 3 children, one with, special needs that, it takes time.
Yeah. Oh,
right. So, and we were in the thick of it because they were a few years younger at this point.
Right.
Now we've got a 9th grader, a 7th grader, and a 4th grader.
Crazy.
Crazy. But at that time, it was a lot different.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, in your expertise as it relates to being able to speak the construction terms
Mm.
and actually kind of say, no, actually, we can do it this way and this way, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
That quality control aspect was
Yeah.
critical throughout that process.
Right.
And that's why the finished product is what we believe fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, you were in the press,
Oh, yeah.
right?
That was exciting.
I know. Did
That
you
was
send it
fun.
to him?
No.
Oh, yeah, I did.
What?
Yeah, the Martha Stewart thing.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. Well,
Yes,
great.
I did. I sent it to you. It was
Okay.
on the online. I
Okay.
did.
But even still, even if it was, a customer of yours who's hiring just an independent general contractor that doesn't
Yeah.
have family relations,
Right.
your ability to broker those and do that quality control, that was critical for us
Right.
because
Well, and you
we
could,
didn't know.
yeah. And you could say like, Lindsay, what's going on here? And I
Yeah.
could say, okay, just we're good. Hang on. And then
Mhm.
I would do whatever from a little thing to a bigger thing. I don't think there wasn't any huge challenges
No.
or problems or anything. It was just
Mhm.
more like, I needed to explain to you what was going on, but we're going to keep the train moving, you know? So I think it was nice that we could have that. So you were feeling comfortable and confident about what was going on, and the contractor could just keep moving. And you could then go, oh, but then is this going to look like this? And then it's just one voice, and then it's handled.
Correct.
Then you're not
And also
having to learn it because you don't have the time, like you're saying.
And also we used a lot of your subs too.
Yeah.
That were outside
Cabinets
of my
and
brothers.
floors. Yep.
Yeah.
And that was huge.
It's interesting. Well, because when the
relationships
contractor
are huge.
Relationships are huge.
Because when the contractor is doing things, it makes sense for them to do things a certain way, but it doesn't necessarily make sense for the way that we're going to live in the house.
Right.
So we needed your help to keep them on track to do things the way that we want to live, not necessarily the way to do things that is easier during the construction process.
And
which
that's
is
why,
what you did,
the plan.
because you did the interview up front to understand our living.
Yeah, the questionnaire. It was like, okay, they're going to do this. This is what the morning looks like, and I can take my own, 3 kids. This is the morning. You need a mudroom. You need the laundry. This is the routine.
Well, yeah, like in the mudroom, like, oh, okay, from the contractor's perspective, maybe it would have been easier to put, the washer and dryer on this wall because the electricity.
Remember, we were like, nope.
The electricity, because it, is on that wall. But then it makes it awkward when you're entering the room, and then you have to spin around. And so it's those types of things where it made sense for them, but it doesn't make sense for the way that we live.
Yeah. And
so
that is
keeping them on track was important.
Yeah. And we spent such thoughtful time and intentionally reviewing those plans so you wouldn't have to knee-jerk make these choices in the field because, as you know, those things came up anyway. Like the things that we had to kind of just,
And because we don't know what we're doing, the contractor would say, oh, you should do it this way because of X, Y, and Z. And we go, oh, okay.
And then I'm like,
and not realizing,
right?
And then you'd be like, "Oh, but if you do it like that, this is going to happen." And we'd be like, "Oh, right,
right."
So
yeah, it's there's a method to the madness,
right?
And you guys were so great because you just knew we had it. Your brother had it, I had it, and it was nice to feel like I could just do what I needed to do. Like you gave me that, not power, but I mean, essentially power
1,000%
to talk on. I knew you enough from that information gathering that I could make those choices, and then obviously always talk it through with you.
You would talk it through, but we would say no,
whatever she says. Yeah,
yep, let's go.
Yeah,
nope.
Yeah,
and
there was a few times through the project that we had to stop. Them and say no, we're doing it this way.
Yeah,
and
that
was the right thing to do.
Yeah,
in hindsight, it was 1,000% the right thing to do, and that's the difference of having someone that's just not an interior designer. Because I hate that label. Because I think more of you as a project and construction management and interior designer. So you're kind of getting all 3 wrapped into one.
Right.
With you and your team.
Yeah.
And delivering on it.
Right. That's, thank you because that is a huge piece to it that people don't realize.
It was huge.
Yeah. It's unique. I think the experience of building every house is different and every time it gets better and better. But it's also like there's one way to build a house. And I know what that is. And if your designer doesn't, a decorator, then you need to have the right type of designer or decorator on the job, which I don't think people really realize when they just think we all do one way, one certain way. It's just not the case.
No. I don't think you can look at a home of Lulu Design and say that was designed by Lulu.
Yeah.
Whereas there's some other designers that when we were going through the interview process, back to that earlier question, I kind of saw some repetitive things that I was like, okay, I see your playbook.
Yeah. And it's
but
beautiful.
Also, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I wanted it more tailored to our specifications. And then secondly, that construction management, which really came into play. Yeah. With my brothers and everything, because they were like, hey, we're not going to do a full-time project manager on here. We're going to do this. We're going to do that.
Yep.
To help reduce the cost.
Right.
Because it was family and they were fantastic. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Oh,
but
yeah.
We needed that third eye.
Yeah.
And I really believe, it's like a 3-legged stool.
Yeah.
We came together as a team.
Yeah.
And
definitely was.
That was a unique thing, and you really stepped up in that front, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, their brothers are great.
Yeah.
I think my mom was buying them beer at the install. Right? The last day we were there, she's like, I'm like, Mom, what are you doing?
A Brennan with a beer?
She's
Really?
like, I just bought him beer. I mean, they're doing a lot of stuff for you. I'm like,
Yeah.
Mom,
That's their
leave.
love language.
Yeah.
HR, where's HR around
Yeah.
here?
That's their love language.
I know. I'm like, she actually's got it down. You know?
Yeah.
I was like, let's keep them on the job, not
Yeah,
drinking.
we need them focused.
I know, like,
We
let's
gotta
keep
punch
them
through.
hammer in hand.
Because guess what? They're moving in tomorrow.
Right? Okay.
Even though
Oh
I
my
wasn't
gosh.
allowed to come into the house, even though I did.
I know. I told you not to, right?
I still, like the other day, I was just thinking, like, wow, I still can't believe that we moved into a house that was like fully furnished, spoons, plates, dishes, everything
that's a
put
great
away, towels hanging.
You could light
Like-
the candle. Like you had to
Yes.
just bring your toothbrush, a toothbrush
I can't.
house.
The other day, I was just kind of like, wow, I can't believe we moved into the house and like
Didn't I
everything was
not?
done.
I didn't let you in. Right? Didn't I
No,
say
I
would
didn't come by at all.
You
I
did.
Lisa
I did
did.
Right.
not.
I
Okay,
did.
you did,
Remember,
yeah.
because I was being very nosy at that point. And
Follow instructions.
yes, but that was, and
Wow,
still
that
to
was
this
really-
day, people like my mother and my sisters and our friends and neighbors were like, wait, this was like move the bus moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
curtains were hung. Like,
Like-
wow. And you did it in how many days?
I think it was like
4 days?
a
Five.
full
4 or
week,
5?
Monday through Friday.
Yeah,
Ah,
but it
Because
was,
by Wednesday afternoon is when you came in.
yes.
You're like, I can't take it. And I'm like, go to the bake club. I don't know, do something, but
Yes.
you can't come
Yeah.
here.
furniture was assembled. Like,
Yeah.
No, it was
Ava's
a full
loft bed,
turnkey.
like,
And that's longer than
Everything.
usual.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
I mean,
And she walked in the kitchen. Everything.
Pots and pans
my-
put away.
Our
like,
friends and family members were like, wow, this is kind of the way to do it. I'm like,
Wow.
well,
Yeah, I can't.
we were
believe it.
very fortunate
Yeah.
because we didn't have to think.
yeah.
That night we went to bed
And then just arrived.
extremely happy.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me so, like, that's the whole
It
reason
was-
why I do it.
No stress. We moved our clothes in.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't sleep that first night.
Well,
yeah. Well, and
just
you,
because we were so excited.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I laid
and I
awake.
remember you were like, I cried.
Yes. She did.
Yeah. It was like,
cried.
wow.
Yeah. I think I cried because you were like, we were all crying. I
Yeah.
think you even cried.
Well, I don't. Well, maybe. I'm a very sensitive guy. So,
You have a pink shirt on. I know. And I know you well enough.
yes,
where,
I do.
mean,
I do. I'm
yes.
sensitive, Sally.
Yeah.
yes. So great.
That's my
God.
nickname.
Did we record our reaction? I wish we'd had
I know.
somebody.
I wish we had to, but that's such
I'd
an
love to-
intimate moment that I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to be like, I'm going to have the cameras there. You know,
That's
like,
true. I would
Because
love
you're
to-
trying to turn it over.
yeah. And I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
you to be able to be freely
I would
expressive or
love to
however you're going to
relive
be.
that moment
I-
of walking in for the first time. Yeah.
yeah, that
Be
was
nice.
And I get so like anxious because I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
they're coming. And I'm like, I have that like, what if they hate it? And then I go back through like all the things and I'm like, no, they're gonna love it. They saw everything, you know, but I even have those moments where I'm like, what if they just don't like it? And it's like, oh God, Lindsay, I've been doing this for 22 years. Like I'm gonna have that
Yeah.
feeling all the time. But you
It almost
lived
felt
But
like
I almost remember the girls running up and hugging you too.
I know, and I
With their room.
I know.
Like Audrey with her hanging
The chair.
chair
Her
and
hanging chair.
she hugged you
Oh my God,
afterwards.
so cute. And they
It was
wanted
great.
to just show me everything.
Yes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm like, I know.
Yes, I know.
That was really cute.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to ask, what if you were to do it again? I know you said you probably would never do it again.
Yeah.
But you will if you get to do it with me and your brother
course.
again. Yeah. What were like the pain points? Like what would you do differently or
I would let you manage the entire process from beginning to end.
really?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Like
she
a
said
million
that.
percent.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
have you manage
Do the
the
whole thing.
contractor, the subs, everything. I think because our family,
relationship.
because the relationship we have with the family, we were a little more involved,
Yeah.
whereas I would have really stepped out and said, you manage the general contractor, the subs, the everybody.
And
Yeah.
come to me with the bigger decisions around colors, this, that,
Yeah,
everything else.
yeah.
Yeah.
But outside of that, yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah. Probably nothing.
I would have turned it. I would, but I'm super close with my family.
Oh yeah.
And so it's
it
kind of
worked out
hard
great.
for me to pull back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we thought that we could
We
kind of get away without having that project manager.
Yes.
Because we're like, oh, it's family, and
Yeah.
we're right down the street. We can kind of check in on
Check in all the
things,
time.
and not realizing, it was our first rodeo.
Yeah.
So yes, if I were to do it again,
1,000%.
I would make that your job.
Yes.
Gladly make that
Happily.
your job.
Yeah. And,
Yes.
and really kind of turn over that empowerment. Right?
Yeah, because
Like,
we thought, this was a big expensive
because
project.
we were
and
stepping on sometimes, and that was the only thing, but that was more us.
Yeah, that's just your
And me.
personality.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's hard to, I mean, yes, I knew
It
you
was our
well,
first
but it was
time.
our first time, and it takes, time.
Yeah.
But
If
outside of
we were to
that,
do it again, you'd be like, okay, give me the highs and lows. I'm going to go to work.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it was
Right?
a big, expensive project, and we thought, all right, if we're going to trim, a
Yeah.
couple dollars here, and we can probably project manage with the family.
Right.
We could probably do that. It'll be okay. And so we thought we could trim, a couple dollars there. And
Right.
now we look back and go, well, okay, maybe
Yeah.
there would have been a few less errors, had you been managing it instead of, us or
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
us stepping in where you're
Yeah.
going to be more of that detailed quality control.
yes.
Yeah.
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 That was the biggest thing. Where
And maybe a little less rework because we did have a couple of things that needed to be reworked and touched up and,
Yeah. Right.
which, but
But that,
overall, I mean, you took the reins though, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
And drove that and had direct communications with
Yeah.
my
Mhm.
brothers and
oh yeah.
and working that. And then using a lot of your subs as well.
Yeah.
And keeping them accountable.
Totally.
And that was what was great.
Yeah. It was kind of a marriage of everybody.
Yeah.
Got the best of
And,
everybody.
these projects aren't going to go, especially when you do
Oh.
an extensive one
Right.
like this.
Oh yeah.
These,
But we didn't.
they're always going to go over budget.
Yeah.
And part of it is on us.
Well, yeah.
Oh, well, maybe we can do the jacuzzi this. Well, now that we opened up our property line.
Look how much space we
Yeah.
have. We
Right.
might
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And I will recommend anyone, if you're going to do it, rip that Band-Aid once
Yep.
and
Yeah.
and kind of do it all at one time.
Mhm.
Don't phase it
I
out.
know it's painful because of the cost and everything else, but
Right.
it's only going to be more costly afterwards versus just doing it. And that was one thing that
Right.
you kept encouraging us on, not trying to push and do scope creep. Don't get me wrong here, but
Yeah.
when we were envisioning, oh, well, what about, like the pool kind of
Right.
situation?
Right.
There's no way we would go back and redo this again.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Do
no-
it once and do
Just
it right.
do it once.
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
was our one time.
Well,
Plus,
Right.
we're older.
Right.
I'm going to be in
Oh
a
my
wheelchair
you are
soon.
not. We're
so-
all the same age. We're on the back nine.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you for giving me all the trust
Oh,
and
1000%.
having me help you build your home. I mean, this is
Yeah.
where your memories are made. This is such a big deal, and I take it so
Mhm.
seriously. And thank you for
But you weren't
Becoming
just
friends.
our designer and all that. You became a personal friend and a part of our family.
yeah.
So
So I'll see you.
I think the world of you.
I love you guys. You guys are the
Yes.
best. It's been so
Mhm.
fun. And
Well-
oh. I'll see you at 8 tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll go over the punch
Yeah.
list. Yeah.
I was going to say the only downside about remodeling our house is that we've been doing a lot of nesting lately, and in the old house we used to go out all the time because
Yeah.
we want to
Now
get out
you're
of the house.
staying in.
Now we stay in, and it's like our social life has been like,
Yeah.
"Arr."
Come
No.
over. But
Yeah,
have
I know
people
we
come
have people over, but
Yeah.
we're like, it's like okay, let's Netflix and chill in this room tonight, and let's
Yeah.
do it in this room. Like, let's go in that
Totally.
room, and so we've been
And you're enjoying each
Nesting.
and every part.
totally, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're doing a
So
lot of
great.
nesting lately.
I'm so happy.
Mm-hmm.
We did it. We achieved our goal.
Yes,
We did?
We did.
And we were kind of under budget
Yes.
ish. The first budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is one good thing I'd say. When your contractor tells you the price, it's probably going to be that, right? I mean, would we tell people that, right? If they
Yeah.
say it's going to be this, probably
Yeah,
that's
it was
where
what
you're
he
going to
said.
end up.
It was what he said it was going to be.
Yeah.
No
We
matter
d-
what it is, it's
We wanted to get it lower than that, but you're right.
exactly. But usually it's pretty right on
Yeah.
within 10%.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he was pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
that
lot of
quote
sticker
was
shock
right.
there. Yeah. That quote was right. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you for having us.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to find more about me or my services, check out my website at luludesigns.com.